Members, we are reconvening the May 1st Board of Trustee meeting. We're going to take our new business slightly out of order, and we're going to jump to what would have been the, I guess, item number E on our agenda. That's going to be the Committee on Investment Land Management. So for item E, this again is the action item for the real estate strategic plan. Do we have anyone to sign up on this item?
Yes, we have one person signed up. We have Jermaine Myers.
Okay, great.
E.
Welcome, Jermaine.
Oh, no wonder. Just hang on. So you choose the island? Yeah. Oh, okay. So you
We wouldn't have done that to you, Jermaine. Okay, hi, Jermaine. So yes, this is for the investment land management, the real estate strategic plan. And mahalo for joining us. You have 5 minutes. This is second reading, so this would be final passage and adoption of the real estate strategic plan. I also see we have Paul Quintiliani with us in case anyone has any questions, but you ready, Jermaine?
Aloha, my glasses. Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair Souza, Trustees. My name is Doreen Myers. I'm an OHA beneficiary for Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment. I'm also a Nanakuli Hawaiian Homestead lessee. So on the attachment on page 9, there is the chart. It's called Table 1. Where is Waimea Falls? The legacy land, Waimea Falls. It's missing from that chart. Okay. That's ILM, right? Yeah. So, okay, so I'll just bring it up. On page 9, it's missing Waimea Falls as far as our legacy lands. So just wondering to know why was it missing in an LLC. But it's still part of OHA's corpus, right? So shouldn't it be identified on as part of the corpus? You guys trying to hide them? No, sorry. And then the guiding principles is said in developing the recommended real estate strategies alignment and sought with in perpetuity investment lands and owned primarily to generate total return and cash flow to support OHA spending needs. Legacy lands are owned and managed for cultural, environmental, programmatic outcomes aligned with the adopted business plan. So in this area, you're identifying that you have 2 different lands, legacy lands, or you have investment lands. But when you were looking at the acquisition earlier this year in regards to potentially taking on new acquisitions of lands, Kahana Valley, Waimanalo, Nation of Hawaii, I never recalled seeing if it was going to be legacy or investment. And more so, I didn't see what was going to be the outcome. Because in your strategy, you say that it's most important for it to be identified as an, you say that you follow a model, ends, ways, and means model. So this is a structured approach to define the desired outcome, ends. So I assume ends comes first. But I don't ever recall when we're going through due diligence 1 or 2 that the ends were defined. So ends comes before seeking out ways and means. So I'm just wondering if you're actually following your own proposed structure or proposed plan. And so I'm wondering if you're going to return to this plan and with those acquisitions, identify What is the end? What is the ultimate outcome for each of those properties? I can understand with the Heiau, just from looking at the infrastructure of what was on the due diligence, but I really don't know why you would want Kahana Valley. And I really don't know why you would want Nations of Hawaii. And then you also have a strategic goals and outcomes, which identify that it's important to understand the financial outcomes or the financial investment is in here. And yet, when we were presented with due diligence 1 and due diligence 2 information, why was the financials missing? Because those properties or those acquisitions, those land donations are coming from the state. Everyone that owns a parcel of land, I'm a lessee, I know my expenses. But more so, government should have historical records. I don't know of any government agency that cannot tell you, oh, this parcel of land, this harbor, Kahana Valley, Mauna Ala, Nation of Hawaii. I don't understand why they cannot tell you, this is our last 10 years of expenses. So why was it missing from due diligence 1? So in respect, I'm just kind of reflecting, you're identifying these principles and these policies that you say are important. You're going through second reading, which means you said in first reading that, yep, it's pono, we should take it to second reading. But what I'm very much observing with this board is that some of you take the fiduciary duties seriously and others really don't. Because I see rubber stamping, I see no reflection on the policies. I don't see no seriousness of asking, why aren't we following the policies? And again, it's only with certain ones. I'm not here to identify who are. It's just an observation. Kia kuapu, God bless all of you.
Thank you, Jermaine. Okay, recognize the Chair of the Island Committee, Chair Souza.
Mr.
The
Chair.
action item.
I'd like to move for the approval of OHA Hawaii Real Estate Strategic Plan, strategies for OHA's ownership, management, and decision-making over investment and non-investment real estate.
Seconded by Chair Emerita Lindsay. Trustees discussion? Hearing none, vote.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka? Aye. Trustee Akaka? Aye. Mahalo. Trustee Akina?
Aye.
Trustee Alapa?
Aye.
Trustee Galuteria?
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay? Trustee Souza?
Aye.
Trustee Wahehe is excused. Chair Kahele?
Aye.
We have 7 yes votes.
Okay, mahalo, Chair Souza. Moving on to the BAE Committee, do we have anyone signed up to speak on these items before yielding to Chair Galutera?
No one is signed up to speak on these items.
Okay, the Chair recognizes the Chair of the BAE Committee, Chair Galutera, to read the action item.
Mahalo. Chair, your Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment, having met on April 30th, 2025, and after full and free discussion, recommends approval of the following motions to the Board of Trustees to adopt staff's recommendation and asking the Governor to veto SB 739 regarding the Public Land Trust as reflected in Matrix 3.
Second.
We have a second. Trustees, any discussion? Hearing none. Lehua for the vote, please.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka?
Aye.
Trustee Akina?
Aye.
Trustee Alapa?
Aye.
Trustee Galuteria?
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay? Trustee Souza? Trustee Wahehe is excused. Chair Kahele?
Aye.
You have 7 yes votes.
Okay, Chair Galutera.
Thank you, Chair. Your Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment makes a motion to adopt staff's recommendation and asking the Governor to veto SB 15 regarding HRS Chapter 6E, Iwi Kūpuna, as reflected in Matrix 9.
Second. Trustees, any discussion? Hearing none. Lehua.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka?
Aye.
Trustee Akina?
Aye.
Trustee Alapa?
Yes.
Trustee Galuteria?
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay? Trustee Souza. Trustee Wahehe is excused. Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 7 yes votes.
Okay, mahalo Chair Galataire. And before moving on, just want to mahalo you on behalf of the trustees for all of the work this legislative session. You know, tomorrow is the close of the legislative session, and mahalo yourself and
And
Vice Chair
Vice Chair
Kaka
too.
and
Thank
your
you.
staffs for all the hard work, as well as our advocacy team for their hard work. We really appreciate it. Clearly, some lessons learned this legislative session, and we'll talk about those and prepare for the upcoming legislative session in 2026.
And mahalo to Chair Hulu for making your way around the Capitol too. Mahalo.
Okay. Let's move on to item 2D. This is the Committee on Budget and Finance. Lehua, do we have anyone sign up to speak on? I guess it is the first item, item number 2528.
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Okay, Chair recognizes Chair Alapa for the Budget and Finance Committee for this action item.
Aloha, Chair. Your Committee on Budget and Finance, having met on April 23rd, 2025, and after full and free discussion, recommends approval of the following motions to the Board of Trustees. Action item BF number 25-28. Approve and authorize FY 2025 sponsorship funding to Hana Art for the 2025 Mele Hana Ho'olaulea Series event on May 2nd through the 16th, 2025, in the amount of $5,000.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Trustees, any discussion on this action item? Hearing none. Lehua, vote.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka. Trustee Akina. Trustee Alapa. Trustee Mahalo. Trustee Galutaria.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay. Aye. Trustee Souza. Trustee Wahehe is excused. Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 7 yes votes.
Okay, action item Budget and Finance 2529. Chair Alapa.
Mahalo, Chair. For action item BF-2529, approve and authorize FY 2025 sponsorship funding to the Waipa Foundation for the 2025 Waipa Aina Festival on May 3rd, 2025, in the amount of $4,000.
Anyone seconded? Anyone signed up to speak on this item? No. Trustees, any discussion on the Waipa Aina Festival? If not, roll call vote, please.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, next item is Budget and Finance number 2530. Anyone sign up to speak on this item? This is for the Hui Makua Punana Leo o Molokai event.
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Okay, Chair Alapa.
Mahalo. This is for action item BF 25-30. Approve and authorize FY 2025 sponsorship funding to Hui Makua Punana Leo o Molokai for the Ho'omau Molokai 2025 event on May 3rd, 2025, in the amount of $14,500.
Second.
We have a second. Trustees, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka. Trustee Akina. Trustee Alapa. Trustee Galutaria.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay. Aye. Trustee Souza. Trustee Wahehe is excused. Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 7 yes votes.
Okay, next action item is item number 25-31. This is to support the Ho'oko'olahui event for the Prince Kohio Film Festival. Lehua, do we have anyone sign up to speak on this item?
Yes, we have 1 person signed up. We have Jermaine Myers.
Hi, Jermaine, welcome.
Aloha, Chair. For this action item, I'm trying to wonder, because yesterday I was listening to the dialogue about about Leeward Kai Canoe Club. And I'm trying to understand what is the difference between entertainment. So what would define that if OHA would, because I remember looking at different grant presentations. And so like, how do you determine that one is disqualified for quote, entertainment, music? So like, wouldn't this be entertainment? Or do you can automatically sweep it into culture? So I'm just wondering. How can it get clarified so that when an evaluator looks at it, that they can go, okay, this means actually this and this means this. Because, everything has its nuances. And I'm just thinking, I wouldn't want to leave it up to a legal person to go, oh, my mana'o is the one that ultimately says that this is a pass and this is not. I would hope that the board would settle in on the policy for those that have potential nuances. And this is one of them. Because I think you really passed through some that I could actually say, hey, that was potentially entertainment. So I'm just bringing that on the table. Kia kuapu, God bless all of you.
Anyone else signed up to speak on this item?
No one else is signed up to speak on this item.
Okay, Chair Alapa.
Here we go. For action item
25.
2531, approval of OHA funding for the Ho'akoakoa Lahui event sponsorship to ECOH Education Foundation for the Prince Kuhio Film Festival on May 3rd, 2025, in the amount of $10,000.
We have a second. Trustees discussion. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka. Trustee Akina. Trustee Alapa. Thank you. Trustee Galuteria. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza. Trustee Waihe'e is excused. Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 7 yes votes.
Okay, the final item on our BNF action item agenda is number 2532. This is to support the SHA and their upcoming Hawaiian Homeland Sovereignty Conference. Anyone signed up to speak on this item?
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Okay, Chair Lapa. All right, we have a second. Trustees discussion. Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Alapa.
Aye.
Trustee Galuteria.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza.
Aye.
Trustee Waihe'e is excused. Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 7 yes votes.
Okay, mahalo and mahalo Chair Lapa for your work on that. Did you have
Chair.
something?
Hello,
I-
my chair.
Just a moment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
Chair.
just want to say that the SHA conference is happening the same time as the Maui annual meeting.
Okay.
So I'm just alerting trustees that I would like to see you in Maui.
We will be in Maui. I will be in Maui.
Thank you.
Okay, Hal?
Real quick, we do, our community engagement director and I believe our NARF manager are gonna be presenting at Shaw. My chair, I wanted to go back to action item BF number 2531. So at the BNF meeting last week, April 23rd, we did, our action item had changed. So the language for this approval had changed. The nonprofit org was different. So it's not ECOH Education Foundation. I'm trying to pull up the action item that was submitted. But it was approved last week with the amended or the updated organization and action.
Okay. You can find that. We can read that into the record. Just let us know before the meeting's done, unless you already have it. Yeah, when you find them, no problem. Let's move back to the beginning of our agenda, and this is where we'll call Corey up, our Director of Human Resources, to give us the Status of OHA activities. Lehua, have anyone signed up to speak on this item? Status of OHA activities, the
No.
Pouhana update.
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Okay, Chair recognizes now Ke Haupu'u, our Chief Operating Officer, and the administration's update on OHA activities.
Mahalo, and I'm going to turn it right over to our Director of Human Resources, Corey Nakamoto, to provide an update.
All right, aloha Chair, aloha Vice Chair and Trustees. Mahalo for this time to share an update with all of you regarding the job fairs that we've been participating in. Although we've been participating in job fairs since 2023, is my understanding, we had not been actually collecting any data at that time. But starting with the March job fair, we have since started collecting data. The March job fair was the state capitol job fair. And then we've also since gone to the two OHI job fairs on April 11th and 12th. And then we had the job fair just yesterday, the Career Expo as well. We are also scheduled to attend the next two Career Expo job fairs on July 30th and October 29th. But just to give you all an idea of the, I guess, response that we've been receiving. So back on March 28th at the State Capitol Job Fair, we had 73 visitors approach our table. And then we had received 6 resumes at that time. And then we had some people who had qualified for some of our openings, specifically for like the multimedia designer, trustee aide, admin assistants. Typically, we get the most interest for those types of positions versus our more skilled positions. During the OHI job fair at the convention center on April 11th and 12th, we had 36 and 57 people approach our booth respectively on each day. And then we had 5 and 3 resumes that were submitted. And then similarly, we had one individual qualified for the PPA position, and then we had an individual who qualified for a trustee aide and GIS, and then one that qualified for several positions, the GIS grants manager, grants officer, and R&E analyst position. So what we're starting to do is at each job fair, ensuring that we're collecting data, tracking how many people are coming, how many people are submitting resumes or filling out and submitting applications, and then also tracking what positions that these individuals are applying for and potentially qualifying for, this to gauge how effective our participation is at each of these events. And then lastly, at the April 30th job fair just yesterday, we're still going through and evaluating the resumes that we received, which included 5. We had 101 visitors to our booth. Yeah, and then I can update everyone later as far as what those 5 resumes that came in, whether or not they qualified for any of our positions. In case any of you were wondering about the impact of the hiring bonus that was started, we did see an uptick in some of our positions, immediately after that, during the week of April 11th through the 17th, especially in our grants manager position. But since then, over the next 2 weeks, the amount of applications has actually started to fall. Yeah, so there was an initial push or an initial rush of interest, but that seems to be dwindling now. But that's all I have. If there's any questions, it'd be.
Yeah, trustees, questions. Trustee Akaka.
Has any position been filled since then?
So we actually are going to be offering the grants manager position soon. The grants officer positions are in interviews currently. I think those would be the 2 closest that had the signing bonuses that were assigned to them.
And how many positions are we? Yeah, that
Our-
we're trying to
our-
fill.
Current vacancy rate, I think, is 26%. So you know, unfortunately, that's been one of our challenges, and we don't have a lot of control of, you know, of that. I mean, I'm sad to say that, for example, unfortunately, we found out just recently that two more, one was Kelsey, which, and then there's another individual as well, who will be departing. So, yeah, it's been a challenge. Yes.
Yeah, so we are gaining, we made two offers on, two admin assistant positions. We
Yeah.
have an IT director position, I think, an offer that was recently
That was
made.
accepted.
We have a couple of public policy advocate, interviews happening today, a handful for research and evaluation analysts next week. And then as Corey said, a grants manager offer's gone in too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can celebrate the wins, so.
Yeah, I mean, it has gone down in the last year. So we do expect and we'll work toward reducing that vacancy.
With the closing of the state legislative session, I think the timing was good that we're part of that fair, but I'm even wondering if it'd be possible to check with the sergeant at arms, with the House side and the Senate side, to see if it's possible to have a flyer up of that we are hiring, and that, you know, the kind that they have like in their elevators and around the Capitol, as a lot of them are session hires.
So from our advocacy division, our director, she did say that she's seeing some, like they have some applicants who came from the ledger. Yeah, so we're seeing
Excellent.
increase.
Yeah, I was pleased to see Corey on the Sunday Star Advertiser. And my eyes went straight to look for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs as an attendee, and was pleased to see us on that State of Hawaii list.
Mhm.
So great. The grants manager position, just out of curiosity, was that did we get any applicants because of that posting on the state's NeoGov website? Did that increase the visibility for the position?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can
Okay.
check on that and get back to you.
Okay, yeah, I mean, for our trustees, we have two positions that are advertised on the state of Hawaii's NeoGov's website. The governor was supportive in that, as well as DHER director, to get us on that website that has a lot more traffic and visibility. So we mahalo them for that. Our goal is to get more positions on this site as we stand up our own NeoGov website, which is a lot more user-friendly for individuals to apply. Corey, one question. For all of our OHA staff watching, listening, if someone wants to take advantage of the internal referral process, how do they do that? Just out of curiosity. Is it annotated on someone's application, or they just kind of verbally send an email to HR and says, hey, I recommended this person to apply? How do they take credit for that?
Yeah, so they could definitely reach out to HR and let us know. And then the other route would be from a candidate perspective. Yes, on the applications, it does ask like where they heard about the
Okay,
position.
it does capture
or
that information too
opportunity,
then.
yes.
Great, fantastic.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Corey, this is specific to trustee Akaka's question about the session and the session players. And it impacts obviously BAE because we reach into the Capitol. Do we have much interest in the public policy advocate position? And if we do, when is the interview starting? And can you give us a sense of what the timing is on that?
Sorry, I'll defer that to Kehao.
Oh, me. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so Lena Ala has seen more applications, and as I just shared, some of them are coming from Ledge, some of the applicants. So we have two interviews today actually for public policy advocate. And then I know she has another one scheduled next week. So we're trying to get those filled.
Follow up, how many positions are available for that?
I think it's 3.
Public policy.
Yeah. 3, we have some compliance advocate, I think 2 or 3 of those. So it is one of our PIA with more vacancies. We're repurposing one of the PPA positions to an ocean policy manager position. So that one will get posted very soon. we had to do some PD revisions and things, but that position will, is being, set up to support our work with Papahana Mokuakea and also just larger ocean policy related, work here that, OHA would want to be a part of.
And that is considered part of the public policy team?
Yes.
Okay, okay, mahalo. Mahalo.
I
Trustee
can
Hawk.
get you exact number after.
Do we have any indication if those that have applied were a part of the federal government? One of the employees from them that were released?
Sorry, Trustee, I don't know off the top of my head, but we would potentially looking at their previous employment history.
Okay, and I was thinking too more about the session hires and them coming to the closing of the session that oftentimes as they're in between trying to find another position, naturally they go to the UI system, yeah. So I was thinking that maybe if we don't have a flyer up in that office there, or that'd be another avenue to check out to see if anybody, as they have to post it online, if there's anybody that might fit in any one of our positions.
I can check with, usually the UI office has like a workforce development office and
yeah.
they'll actually put up. So I can look into that as well.
Mahalo.
Thank you.
Trustee Lindsay.
Corey, I just want to know that we are considering our own employees internally before we go out externally for vacant positions.
So we don't currently do like an internal only posting first. We actually announce it though internally. We have internal email announcements that also goes out at the same time that we're posting it on the various job boards. So internal candidates would have the same opportunities.
Great.
Well, I think we should
Yeah.
give them some preference,
Sure.
actually internally, to be considered.
Sure. I mean, we want to have career advancement and be able to grow within OHA. Sure. Thank you. Finally, last question. In attempting to fill some of our longstanding interim positions, sounds like how we have the IT director potentially and the grants manager. Any update on posting for interim for permanent general counsel and permanent land director positions?
So the general counsel position, the position description is currently being reviewed and finalized. Once that's finalized, then we can go ahead and post that one. There are some changes that are being made to that one that will impact the positions below it. Specifically, we are looking, or we've updated the minimum requirements, for example, and we're also updating some of the duties and responsibilities. So some of those changes will have a trickle-down effect, but we are, my understanding, close to finalizing that general counsel PD.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Well, please let us know if we have a successful internal referral that leads to a successful hire. Looking forward to that email. Whoever that first $500 recipient will be. Cal?
So for the land director, we're just holding a little bit on working on a revised position description as part of the work that Paul and Linda are taking on, right? So we just, congratulations, approved our strategic plan today. Also part of their work is creating a business model or operational plan and then policy and procedures for our land department. So we just want to ensure that we are creating a senior director position, because this position now reports to the CEO. So we just want to ensure that we're creating a position that makes sense and that will be able to lead, what this board has approved. So that's what's happening with land. And then I'll just update real quick. Okay, so we have the most pukas in advocacy. So we do have 4 public policy advocate vacancies, 2 managers, the public policy manager position and the Ocean Policy Manager position, which should be posted very soon. And then 2 compliance advocate positions. So Kamakana Ferreira moved into an archaeologist position. We're gonna repurpose his position. We want to put it in Maui because we have lots of issues on Maui and Molokai. And then there's the open vacant position on Kauai that's currently posted.
Okay.
We have an opening, but we're gonna revise the PD, but we wanna wrap up the strategic plan. So we were working with our consultants to develop that PD so that it makes sense for our new strategic plan and then the business model that they're also helping us to work on. And then policies and procedures are also part of that work. So we want to utilize them to help us best create and develop and design the description that we need for land. It's a big thing here at OHA.
Okay. Sure.
I just want to mahalo you both and to your folks' team in all that you're doing and those that have worked over the weekends with no days off. I think that should be honored. But I really mahalo you folks for taking the time and energy into bringing qualified members into the Office of Foreign Affairs to help us do the work for our people. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Sorry, just one thing to clarify.
Okay.
So with the PPA positions, one of the 3 vacant PPA is going to be repurposed to the Ocean Policy Manager. So once that repurposing occurs, the amount of vacant PPA positions will go down to 2, right? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, terrific. All right, thank you guys so much for your update. We're gonna move on to, like, we have 2 items, our community concerns and celebrations and announcements, and then we can. Where?
Yeah.
Oh, the festival.
25,
Okay.
yeah. So if
Yeah, all right.
something-
Okay, let's go back. What would be the action on that? Just to read it into the record? Okay. All right, so we're gonna go back to
2531.
2531 to ensure that we have the right nonprofit
Yes.
organization.
Mhm.
And so Chair recognize Chair Lapa of the BNF Committee.
Okay, so I'd like to amend something that we previously adopted for action item BF 25-31. And this is for the motion approved and authorized for FY 2025 sponsorship funding to Hawaiian Community Development Board for the Prince Kuhio Film Festival on May 3rd, 2025, in the amount of $10,000.
Okay, and we're gonna vote on this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the amendment,
Yeah, it's the amendment part.
Okay. Okay, we have the
Thank you.
second for the amendment and,
So just to clarify, we're amending
2531.
to reflect the name of the organization, Hawaii Community Development
Board, Hawaii
Right.
Community
Yes.
Development Board.
The previous motion.
It was
is
different.
Stated, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it'll require a 2/3 vote. So
For,
for the amendment on, without previous notice, so take the roll call. Yeah.
you got enough?
She seconded, yeah.
Okay, we have a second?
Yep.
Okay. Questions, trustees?
Mm-mm.
Wonder if, trustee Souza around? Ikino? You got him? Okay, all right.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
We're in a roll vote right now. Continue the roll
Trustee
call.
Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Alapa.
Aye.
Trustee Galuteria.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza stepped out. Trustee Waihe is excused. Chair Kahele.
Aye.
We have 6 yes votes.
Good. Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification. Let's move now to community concerns and celebrations. Lehua, do we have anyone sign up to speak on community concerns and celebrations?
Yes, we have one person signed up. We have Jermaine Myers.
Hi, Jermaine, welcome. Welcome, Jermaine.
Aloha Chair. Aloha Chair Kahele. Trustees. My name is Jermaine Myers. Chair and trustees, I feel it's now important for me to give context to my personal and lifetime experiences with gambling addiction and drug addiction. Without putting my Ohana's business on full blast, as the saying goes in our communities, when you know, you know. My biological father and my stepfather were distracted by drug and gambling addictions all of my childhood years and most of my adult years. At age 18 and immediately after I graduated from high school, I had only one outlook on my life. I want better life experiences. I was blessed to immediately have wholesome opportunities come my way. With uncertainty but excitement, I said yes to a last-minute full-time full tuition scholarship to Leeward Community College and a full-time student hire position at the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. These two opportunities set me on a lifetime course of making choices that served me well. In 2001, at age 33, I became a homeowner. I was able to pay off 2 of the 3 foreclosure delinquent loans to become the lessee. I was able to refinance a 3rd home loan. And in 2008, I made my last mortgage payment. Since 2008, I live mortgage-free. The first family member to come and live with me was a family member with a sports betting addiction. His gambling addiction caused him to constantly lose their rent money. Yet he always had 2 full-time jobs his entire lifetime. But when bank institutions and family members stopped letting him borrow money, he and his spouse moved in with me. Otherwise, homelessness was the only option at the time. They eventually got back on their feet and moved into an apartment closer to his 2 jobs in town. His gambling addiction wasn't limited to local sports betting, but also casino in Las Vegas. When they lost their apartment rental the second time, they moved with another family member. I already had other family members living with me. They lived in a tent popped up in the backyard because the house was already full. They eventually got back into an apartment in town, but after another huge gambling loss, his spouse moved with family and he lived in his car. Chair and trustees, I've learned that the core component of financial stewardship is not about math, balancing a budget. It's about behavior. With personal finances and business finances, it's about behavior. Same with health. It's not about food. Food is available in abundance. It's about behavior. Same with fitness. It's not about the availability of walking paths, dumbbells, gyms, swimming pools, beaches. It's about behavior. I believe behavior, both personal and governmental, puts us in one of 2 environments: a coffin or a classroom. A coffin, boxed in and decaying, unwilling to change, stubborn in our ways, stuck in hurts, habits, and hang-ups. A classroom, learning, changing our perspective, no matter who's around us, as new evidence comes in purview. Learning from humanity and the choices and outcomes, seeking growth, cultivating our talents, our skills, and attitude into action, cultivating our behavior for the benefit of our beloved Ohana, our community, and our island home. Trustee Akaka, yesterday you highlighted incarceration, the focus on rehabilitation of the incarcerated. I'm always grateful for your desire to always learn and evolve. My question is, let us also consider the rehabilitation of the children and the spouse of the incarcerated raised in the insecure home environment of drugs, using and selling, and gambling addiction. Drugs and gambling cost money. I personally believe from my life experiences that drugs and gambling puts one in a coffin environment. Kia kuapu, God bless all of you.
Thank you, Jermaine. Leho, do we have anyone signed up to speak on any other community concerns or celebrations?
No one else is signed up to speak.
Okay, we'll move to announcements next. Trustees, our next board meeting for the Board of Trustees will be on Thursday, May 15th at 10 o'clock in the morning. I have a few other announcements, but I will defer to any of our trustees who'd like to be recognized.
Yeah, thank you.
Trustee Galtier.
You know, I noticed that there's a beautiful exhibit outside. The Quilters Guild has brought in some beautiful work, and there's a somewhat of a competition. So this is for everybody in the room. When we do have chance, like maybe lunchtime, to go out take a look, there's a little voting thing that you can drop into a ballot if you have a favorite quilt, and they're going to have a little, I guess, a little prize for the winner. So just letting you guys know. Okay.
How long is the quilt exhibit?
Mother's Day. Mother's Day.
Through Mother's Day.
Through
Okay.
Mother's Day.
So for our beneficiaries watching online, please come down to our Nalama Kukui building here, if you're on Oahu, to look at a amazing quilt display.
Yes.
Hundreds of
Yeah.
Hawaiian quilts on display.
Mahalo for that.
Yeah, Kehal.
So the maker of the quilt that hangs outside in our lobby, she was here last night, part of the opening, Patricia Leigh Anderson. Yeah, beautiful story. She's a former Miss Hawaii. So she was here and they honored her, and it was really lovely. Just sharing.
Hey, trustees, any other announcements? I want to just, while you think of anything, I just want to mahalo everyone for what a great Merry Monarch Week in Hilo. You know, we had a fantastic office blessing. Want to mahalo all of our Hilo and Hawaii Island staff who put in a lot of hard work, time, and effort into a very beautiful ceremony, as well as the members of the community. We had about 80 or so that came out to participate. Was incredible. We had some keiki that danced hula for us, and a really nice pikai and piko ceremony. And then the next day, our parade, you mentioned it yesterday, was fantastic. And I think, you know, it was well received. OHA was well represented in Hilo for Merry Monarch Week. So just wanted to acknowledge that. Okay, we have a very busy May coming up, with the focus being budget, right? This board will vote on our budget on the 30th of June. Which is a Monday, and prior to that, on June 17th, we will pass the budget in the Budget and Finance Committee. That is our plan. And between now and then, we have a series of budget briefings that we need to prepare for. We're doing something that really hasn't been done previously, and that's to take the budget into smaller, digestible chunks and give the opportunity for our directors and our program managers and our senior executive leadership team to come in front of the board and present to us their budget in smaller pieces so that we can better understand and our beneficiaries can better understand where our money is being spent. So yesterday, you should have received an email from Grace in our finance team. She sent you 2 PDF documents. Your staff should be printing those documents as described in the email. That will be the blueprint for our budget briefings. The first budget briefings start on May 14th. And that briefing will feature the CEO's budget, the human resources budget, the endowment budget, and the Hawaiian Cultural Affairs budget. It's going to be really important that we dive deep into these budget tables so that we can ask good, well-informed questions and have a good, solid, robust discussion. The following week, we have budget briefings every day, Monday through Friday. And then we have a briefing on May 27th. And then finally on June 2nd, the Board of Trustees, myself, as well as Chair Lapa, will brief the Board of Trustees budget, which will include some of the capital improvement project and programmatic requests that trustees have expressed. It will also include the ad hoc committee recommendations on staff salaries for OHA, which is being completed today. That report should be transmitted by Chair Souza of the ad hoc committee to myself. And we will agendize that and vote on that on May 15th so that we can adopt it, discuss it, and hopefully include it into the upcoming biennial budget. So there's a lot of work in terms of the budget briefing schedule that's coming up, and we appreciate everyone's attention on that. Let's see, do I have anything else? Hawaii Island, we have our Hawaii Island satellite office locations that are starting next week, Friday. So as you're well aware, we closed the Kona office, centralized services in Hilo, and are establishing a satellite office location, mobile location, basically, every week throughout all of Hawaii Island with specific site locations. So next week, Friday, we started Na'alehu for our beneficiaries. Details to come. We'll work on comms on putting that information out so we can make sure those are productive. But our plan is to be in Na'alehu and Pahoa and Kauai and Waimea, and then go into communities like Miloli'i on a quarterly basis. Really, the whole idea is rather than Kūpuna and Makua and Keiki coming to us, we go to them. And we go into their communities to truly understand their needs and how we can best help. And then we circle wraparound services, working with the County of Hawaii, Mayor Kimo Alameda and his team, and other community partners to bring other services to those, in most cases, rural communities. So that starts Na'alehu next week, Friday. You have an announcement, Trustee Akaka?
Yeah, mahalo. To add to some of that mana'o, I think that's excellent in terms of being able to service those within the community, the rural communities, as Hawaii Island is so vast and large. And I think that's something that we might want to look into for the other neighbor islands as well, especially with what has happened in Maui, the size and distance between communities on Kauai as well, and so forth. What I wanted to share too, and I kind of touched on it yesterday regarding our sponsorship with the Mele Manaka 3-day community event at the SCP Hotel. When I had some time after the parade, I had walked around to visit the different vendors. Some were familiar faces, which was very nice. And when we got to talk story more, and then they asked me my interest in why I was kind of asking them about their experience there. And then it leading up to me being at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, they just shared how thankful they were to have that opportunity to be able to have their booth at that location amongst other Native Hawaiians. And it gives them the opportunity where maybe they wouldn't have had that space and even just the cost.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of thankfulness there, and I'd be interested to see what that would look like for us next year.
Sure.
Again.
Yeah, what was unique about that, just to remind us, is those vendors paid nothing to be there, where other vendor locations throughout Hilo, and it seemed like every location in Hilo had a craft fair, they had to pay in some cases to be there. But this particular location that we sponsored that featured a lot of Native Hawaiian small businesses was Manoahi for them to
Yes.
set up. And part of it was because of the support we gave, and of course it's the leadership of Riani Kobayashi and the SCP Hotel and their team. So it was wonderful. It was great.
Yes. And some had shared that this is their full-time thing, and some this is a side business to supplement what their job is providing them. So it was very nice to see the joy in everyone's faces there, and stimulating the Hilo and Hawaii community. A lot was happening within all of those fairs. It was kind of I would say almost overwhelming, the amount of fairs that they have, and the traffic in Hilo was something else. But it was a beautiful celebration nonetheless.
Great. I guess two more things. Thank you for the trustees and staff on the board suite who's submitted changes to our executive policy manual. We are compiling all of that along with much of the work that Everett and his team have done. And hopefully we can bring that to the board in May as well. The other thing that I had mentioned a month ago, and Kehau has been working on this along with Summer, is the possibility of including remote teleworking here at OHA, something that I've heard from many OHA employees is something that they would like us to reconsider. So Kehau and Summer have been working on that. I think they're gonna wrap that work up and bring that report and proposal to the board. And it's my intent for us to be able to agendize that and have a good, robust discussion about that as another way to continue to elevate OHA as an employer of choice here in the state of Hawaii. So, any more announcements? Naivi?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, hearing none, can I get a motion to adjourn? We have a
Second.
seconded, movement from trustee Galatera, second from trustee Akaka. Members discussion. Happy May Day, everyone. It's Labor Day in Hawaii. Roll call vote.
Trustee Ahuna is excused. Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Alapa. Trustee Galuteria.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay has left the meeting. Trustee Souza has left the meeting. Trustee Waihe is excused. Chair Kahele.
Aye.
We have 5 yes votes. We are adjourned.